Falcon 9 is going to enter startup mode at T-minus 1 minute, at which point it is in full control of the remainder of the countdown. Dragon, of course, also performing its own final checkouts to make sure all of its primary systems are going to be working in flight. Again, it's going to take a couple days to get to the space station. And just before liftoff, watch to see the strongback retract to give Falcon 9 a bit more clearance during launch. Currently, the range is a go. Everything weather-wise is still looking golden. And let's listen in to the last couple minutes of terminal count.
Stage 2 TVC motions complete. Stage 1 lock slope closed out. Stage 1 lock slope closed out. Vehicles transitioning to internal power. Stage 2 lock slope closed out.
So we are closing into the 1 minute to launch. I will now then stop the counter and just watch the rocket itself. Again, this rocket is scheduled to land back at Cape Canaveral, not on a drone trip. And
AFTS is ready for launch.
Triple sonic boom as it approaches the landing pad. While at launch, unfortunately, you can't.
F9 is in startup.
LDs, go for launch.
Stage 2 pressing for flight.
T-minus 30 seconds and count.
Stage 1 pressing for flight.
T-minus 15. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Liftoff. Flight operations. until it started.
As this is a low Earth orbit launch to the ISS, the burns are relatively short. The first stage will separate relatively soon after launch compared to the geostationary launch, and then head back to Cape Canaveral.
Ready to go.
Did separation.
So we have stage separation, and
Is that
as
startup?
this happened
Yeah, that
relatively soon
motion.
and relatively low compared to geostationary launches, and the weather is clear, we could see
Doctor.
pretty spectacularly in the camera. And we are seeing the boost back burn now, so the first stage is now burning its engines to stop its own momentum and then head back to Cape Canaveral to land there. This is a live view of the second stage engine, which is now still burning on to reach its actual destination orbit, and you could just see the fairing that was separated as we actually left the atmosphere. There was no longer any need for aerodynamic shape or protection of the payload, so the fairing was dead as
Is that kind of shut
the
down?
second stage kept accelerating behind the second stage, you could see it. On the left side we have a live stream from the first stage, which is firing its nitrogen RCS cold gas thrusters to turn around and vacuum. The grid fins now deploying were at this point still relatively pointless because it hasn't entered the atmosphere yet, but as soon as it enters the atmosphere, these will help guide the rocket down to the landing pad to save on fuel for the reaction control system, which is currently turning the rocket around. Again, a common misconception, these are not air brakes, although they look a bit like air brakes, and they do of course slow the rocket down a little bit. They have aerodynamic surface area, they do have some slowing effect, but their main purpose is guiding the rocket as they have these holes, and they're actually made of grid strings that are deeper than their wide, so really these work like a lot of aerodynamic fins, or a lot of ailerons basically, that are just next to each other. And the Falcon 9, of course, although it's not a winged vehicle, it does have some aerodynamic surface. It's a cylinder. It does prefer traveling
New Hampshire
along its
acquisition of
axis.
signal.
So you can use these fins to slightly turn it, and you can use that to make tiny corrections. So if you set it up precisely, you can use that to control your way down to the launch pad, to the landing pad, with relatively little fuel use. However, now the stage 1 entry burn is coming up, where it will burn a lot of fuel in order to slow itself down, so the re-entry doesn't get quite as hard as it would be from a straight drop.
Stage 1 entry for startup.
And you could just see the engine start, and of course rocket engines produce a lot of hot plasma, so that tends to make radio connections,
Stage 1 entry burn shut down.
high bitrate radio connections, a bit tricky, so the live stream tends to cut off there. But the rocket is actually relatively safe from that exhaust itself because it is heading down at a high velocity, and
Stage 2 performance
by
nominal.
definition, actually, it's really basic physics.
Stage 1
by the
APS has
time
saved.
it has deaccelerated and is blown back up against the rocket, it has to have cooled down enough to the point where it's relatively safe already.
Stage 1 is transonic. Landing burn startup. Legs deployed. LZ1, the F9 has landed. Landing operators proceed to procedure 11.100, section 3 on LZ1net.
And we have a successful landing with pretty spectacular live footage from the rocket and the pad. You did get to hear that triple sonic boom of the Falcon 9 quite a while after it went subsonic, actually shortly before the landing, because the microphone is quite a bit away from the landing zone, so the sound needs time to travel there.
OSM LD and countdown. Copy.
And you can now see the telemetry of the second stage getting faster and faster, and since this is a low Earth orbit flight,
Stage
it
2
will
and
just
terminal
go
guidance.
up to only
Second stage APS has saved.
28,000 kilometers per hour, which is very soon when the second stage engine will cut off. For a geostationary transfer orbit, which is what the Falcon 9 is mostly used for, you would go all the way up to over 30,000 kilometers an hour.
Zico.
Since this is a low Earth orbit launch, it is now already done.
GNC confirms good orbit insertion.
Orbit launch, it is. And we're now already close to
Acquisition
Dragon
signal
deploy.
development.
No long coast phase, as this is again an ISS launch. Those go relatively quickly as you don't have the long wait time of coasting up to geostationary orbit. And we have successful deployment. Long call. The next thing coming up is the solar array deployment, where the Dragon will deploy its own solar arrays to keep itself powered electrically until it arrives at the ISS.
Dragon's propulsion system has successfully primed, and all thrusters report ready for firing.
And with that, the Dragon is on its way to head up under its own power to the International Space Station. It will now stay a little bit in that orbit. It will do a few minor corrections, but it will mostly stay in this lower orbit, which is due to Kepler's laws. Since it's a little bit lower than the ISS, it goes a little bit faster than the ISS, and so it will catch up to the ISS, which, as you can see in the map here, is pretty much on the opposite side of the planet. Cape Canaveral, of course, being at the southern USA, and not in the Indian Ocean. So it will keep in this lower orbit to catch up with that half orbit, and then boost itself up to the same altitude as the ISS to actually approach the ISS and dock, or rather go close to the ISS so the robotic arm at the ISS can capture it and then dock it to the ISS.
Expected loss of signal, Bermuda.
Which is the more modern and safe alternative to a classical docking. And we have successful solar array deployment, so Dragon is now fully powered, electrically speaking. However, it is about to pass over an area with little to no radio station coverage, so it's expected that we lose the live stream from the Dragon itself very soon.
Expected loss of signal, New Hampshire. We have a successful mission for the Falcon 9. The Falcon 9 has ended its mission. Dragon is still on the way. In about 2 days, a little less than 2 days, 42 hours, so yeah, in roughly 2 days, the Dragon will arrive at the ISS, be captured by the robotic arm and then docked carefully. I will live stream that as well. Until then, I will live stream the 24/7 ISS stream, and I will show you a little replay of this launch and landing, and then leave the stream running for a few minutes for any questions, and then go back to the ISS stream.